All right, we are on, and here is the link.
Thank you.
Here's the link.
Look at that. Do you have anything exciting going on in your life?
No, I'm still recovering from Vegas. Okay, hold on. We're getting a playback error on our YouTube. Let me see if I just... Yeah, that link's good. So yeah, no, I'm still recovering a little bit. Really had a great time.
Awesome.
And you know how it is. I mean, I've been working 80 hours a week, more probably, for so long. And once you cut that off, it's really hard to get back there. So I've been slowly over the last few days, because we got back on Tuesday, but slowly just bringing in more work. And starting Monday, I'm full-time back on one of them. Then Wednesday, I'm full-time back on the other. And hopefully I can be done with that and be back up to speed. And then until I can quit one. Can't wait. This has been a long ass year, man.
I bet.
So how about you? What have you been working on?
Well, obviously went to BDYHAX 2019 in Austin, Texas. In my personal projects, I'm going to give a quick breakdown of my personal. Oh, should we start recording? Or no, we'll start.
No, we're not ready for that.
Recording our audio. Sorry, audience. I'm talking about our audio for the podcast show, not the live show. So to start with, you know this, Tim. Everything I know about music, I've learned from Wikipedia. Like nothing. I'm not a musician. I can listen to a song and be like, I like that, or I didn't like that. That's about it. And so in order to teach myself more about music, I'm building a MIDI sequencer, because MIDI is like industrial protocols, which I have learned through work. I'm using an Arduino because I've programmed with that, and I'm trying to approach music as math and algorithms because I understand those. And so I'm building this device that will allow me to change aspects of music real time and hear their effects to see, like, oh, does this sound good? If so, why? Does this sound bad? If so, why? And what does changing them all together do? And since I will be doing the programming for this device, hopefully it's going to give me a better understanding of what makes some music good and some music not. Or I'm just going to create this thing that randomly spits out notes and sounds like garbage. You know?
Yeah, you see, I did the music thing for a while, and it sounds like I'm a lot like you. I understand math. I respect math a lot. And to me, it's all math. Everything about music is math. And that's sort of true. But everything about making music is, or a good part of it is having passion. And that I don't have. I'm very logical. I'm very analytical. And I can make a great beat. I can make a great soundtrack for a movie. But any real engaging feeling music, I just don't have it in me because I'm too analytical. So I ended up, I had a robust digital studio. I mean, I could plug in any amount of instruments. I had everything. It was robust. And it came down to the point of where it was all about the systems and about the math. But when it comes to making music, I don't have the passion, or I'm not in touch enough with my emotions, I guess, to really make good music. And so I ended up giving it up. But that's
interesting.
I can make killer beats. If somebody had something important to say over the top of them, it could have been a great song. I can make really nice, more ambient or classical sounding soundtracks, but it sounds like a soundtrack, like something should be happening that you care about over the top of it. And that's the part that I just don't have. So that's my experience with music, is I love music. I can make decent music, but not anything that people feel.
Interesting. I guess I'll have to see what happens if I can even get to that level.
Yeah, I'm sure you can, because it really is all math. I mean, chords and the way sounds are, and it's entirely math. The sounds of it.
I'm trying it from the point of view, or from the concept of using randomly generated tones and notes, which I've only seen one project that has relied on random
Okay.
variables or random
Are
numbers
you
to
getting
generate.
random? Is it truly random or computer random?
So far, it's just pseudo random, just based on the Arduino random function.
Okay.
But I did see a neat article from Hackaday about generating truly random numbers by measuring your clock jitter in the processor.
Okay.
And so, okay, well, this is something I can do later. For right now, just spitting out notes that I can't predict is sweet.
Mm-hmm. Well, random.org it's actually, if you look at that site, it's a site that I initially started. I built for the guy, but he uses atmospheric noise to generate random sequences, numbers, and all of that stuff. So it's a source for true randomness if you're looking for it.
Yeah, I know that if I start too deep down that random rabbit hole, I will get lost, because I will just start thinking of like, oh, what if we measure this or this or this, or I'd get lost, because it's neat stuff. It's super neat.
Yeah, it is.
Deep rabbit hole, and because there's money for it, and any hacker with virtually no budget can do it themselves too. Dangerous combination.
All right. So are you ready to record? I'm all set up, and I have tested while we were talking here. So
I'm ready to go, and this time I'll actually hit record.
Okay, yeah, that's an important part, Brian.
Right.
Little known fact: if you don't hit record, you're not recording. Well, we are, because the YouTube, and it worked out all right.
Yes. If you listen to the last podcast, everyone, you may notice a little bit more noise or a little tinnier sounding voices, because I had to pull the YouTube audio in order to make the podcast. That was my fault. Actually, just my audio did that. I was still able to use Tim's recording. Oops. I feel like a bonehead.
All right. Yeah, that's not, I think we all agree on that point.
Hey.
All right. So I'm going to count down. You ready? Yeah.
Yes, ready.
Yes. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. And I lead in, right?
CD.
There we go. Okay. Hello and welcome. My name is Tim Shank.
And I'm Brian McAvoy. This is Two Cyborgs and a Microphone, brought to you by Dangerous Things, custom gadgetry for the discerning biohacker. Find cutting-edge implantable technology and the equipment to support it. Tim and I both have implants from Dangerous Things, like the XNT NFC tag. Tim used it to open his front door, and I pass contact information without paper at places like BDYHAX, so people don't misspell my name or get my number wrong.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to BDYHAX this year. I ended up going to Vegas for my birthday, so next year I guess I won't have a birthday, so I can make it.
It'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it.
Yes, I did go to BDYHAX. I met neat people, listened to neat talks.
Who all did you meet?
Let's see. So I went there and I met my girlfriend, Amanda Plimpton. And, we got to share some time together because we don't live in the same state. So it was nice to see her.
Yeah, and let's talk about Amanda's. What's she do? I mean, she's a body hacker. She's working in a startup for a certain industry, but it does relate back to body hacking, and there's a peripheral connection there.
Yeah, her industry is looking at creating implantable tech that will basically be a fitness tracker for mammals. And so right now it's just in a startup phase, and they're working on prototype and all that good stuff. I don't know how much to go into it, but she's a body hacker 24/7.
Right. Who else did you meet?
Rich Lee was also there. I love talking with Rich. He's just such an easy guy to just sit down and just chew the fat with. I very much enjoy hanging out with him. And another one is
What'd you guys talk about? I mean, what's Rich Lee doing? Last I heard, he was working on some implants for sexual performance, right?
yeah, I think he's still working on that, as far as I know. We didn't talk about that one this time, but yeah, there's an implantable something or other. I don't know how much detail to go into that. I think all the information he wants to share about that is on the biohack.me forums. I think it's called the Lovetron 9000.
All right.
Another cool cat hung out with was Cooper from the Dangerous Minds podcast, and I'd first met him at a con at DEF CON 2015, and so yeah, no 2016, but he was there, and just always love hanging out with that guy. He's another guy that I actually brought him to dinner because I had owed him for organizing the DEF CON hotel for us.
Nice. Nice.
And another name that listeners might recognize is Anastasia Sin.
We talked about her last episode, right?
Sure did. She's a professional cyborg. She has magnets implanted in her body, and she uses them for her illusionist act. And she lives in Las Vegas, so she goes to DEF CON, hangs out with us biohackers, and is a great part of our community.
Yeah. I wonder if I could have looked her up while I was there recently.
Oh yeah. Well, no, because she was in Austin, Texas.
No, because it was over with by that time, and so I went after that.
Oh yeah. Then you might have been able to run into her, and
maybe next time. I'm not gonna stop going to Vegas for my birthday, man. I've been on the Body Hack conference
before.
Just
gotta rearrange your birthday. That's all.
Yeah. So anybody else did you talk to?
Well, I ran into one of my blog readers, of all people. It was kind of interesting. Somebody had called me and said, "Hey, I noticed that you have an implant on the outside of your hand, on the knife edge." And I had some questions about, like, does it interfere with your life? Does it make anything difficult? Is there anything you can't do because of it? And it's very intelligent questions. And I said, "Hey, yeah," I tried to answer all those questions and said, "I'm going to be at BDYHAX this year. Any chance you'll be there?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be there." I said, "Oh yeah, let's meet up." So I got to meet one of my readers. That was super cool.
Nice.
Tim Cannon was also there. He's a coworker of Amanda and another big name in the biohacking community. I didn't get a chance to talk with him. I just kind of saw him in the periphery and remained very busy talking with many other cool people.
Sure. Yeah. And what's he been up to lately?
Working with Amanda on mammalian implantable activity trackers. And then another name that I think a lot of people will recognize if they're 59 episodes into our podcast is going to be Left Anonym. It was there. It had flown over from the UK and joined us, and it had a very good time. And we were very happy to host it.
Nice. All right. So did you talk to anybody else at all?
Those were the big ones. I talked to so many people. I talked to some researchers. I talked to somebody who was in I don't remember the exact phrase, but it was a religious study college course, and super fascinating person.
Really? Okay. And did you guys talk about a connection to spirituality and biohacking at all? And any insights there?
No insights, but yes, that was their focus.
Huh.
And if I find when that person publishes, I would be more than happy to share, because they're also big in our community. Well, not big, but they're in my opinion, an important part of our community because they touch on something that we don't normally.
Yeah.
There's a lot of atheism in biohacking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and you also you got we've been talking, for anybody who's been listening, we've been talking about how excited we are to get our VivoKey Flexes. Now those are still not quite ready for consumption yet, but you did get the Spark, is that right?
Yep. Ooh, hey, that reminds me. I got a prop. I'll be right back.
All right. So we are very prepared. Everybody should know how prepared we are.
All right. Okay, I'm back.
All right.
Sorry
So
for the
let's see. A prop.
All right. So, Tim, this is for you.
Me. Nice. Nice. And that comes in the syringe, you said, right?
That is right.
All right. Now let me see yours.
This is yours. This is the
Okay.
implant kit that it comes with. All right. Set that where it won't.
Okay. We should probably be describing this verbally as you're doing it, because we're gonna lose everything.
So, in the back of my left hand, between the ulnar metacarpals, between the palm bones of my index and middle finger, I now have a VivoKey Spark, which is the glass ampule. It's the same size as all the other NFC and RFID tags.
Okay. And now, how long ago did you have that implant? How many days has it been? It's been like 2 weeks?
Something like that, yes.
Okay, so when I look at that, I'm seeing no scar.
There is a little bit of one. Well, there's a scab.
Okay.
I heal up pretty well without too much in the way of scarification. I'll have to ask Amanda how she's doing and see if she can send a close-up photo, because she got one the day before me.
Okay. And how does it feel in the back of your hand? Because I've been planning to put some things in the back of my hands. That's a very nice, convenient place to have stuff.
It is.
So how does it feel? Do you feel it generally during the day when you're moving your hand around, as you're working, doing other things?
This one, strangely enough, I have.
Okay.
Which is odd. So in the back of my right hand, I have a firefly tattoo, which is it is significantly larger. And that one is also between the two metacarpals of the index and middle finger. And that one is even more visible.
Mm-hmm.
It's larger, and that one I never notice unless I put my hand into really tight pockets, because then it'll kind of ride up and I'll feel it push back. And I think I feel the VivoKey one because it's a lot fresher.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask the question. When you first got the Firefly, did you find yourself noticing it more, and then that faded away as you just became accustomed to the implant being in your hand?
I don't remember. And I think the fact that I don't remember says a lot, that it kind of faded away quickly.
Right.
And I didn't talk about the tenderness of that or anything. And I think partially the VivoKey did not go in and align with the metacarpals immediately. It was kind of put in at an angle so that we didn't nick any veins. I, didn't want to have a huge hematoma at Grindfest. That would not look good for my implanter.
No, it wouldn't.
So right now it's still kind of in the process of finding its permanent seat, and it hasn't yet.
Okay.
But no infection, no significant pain, no necrotized flesh. All good things.
Yeah. So I'm looking in my hands now. You can't tell this in a podcast, but I'm looking at my hands now. I think this may be the one that I have done at home.
Okay.
That I'm not going to go in and pay somebody to do it. I'll have my wife help me out with it or something if she's willing to do this one. Because there's a lot of skin in the back of your hands. You can tent that up real easy.
Oh, yeah.
One thing that I am concerned about is the proximity between the flex and this, because I want the flex in the back of my hand. I want the when flex gets credit card gets those sort of functions, there's going to be a new flex, because the first one it won't. So there will be a second flex that I'll have. And now we're talking about this, so I have to wonder how much room I have on the back of my hands to let them all be read independently.
Yeah. Yeah, part of the reason I went with the back of my hand is, one, because I can extend it and put it on a credit card reader pretty easily. I can also use it to be scanned by my phone pretty easily.
Right.
It's kind of the best of both worlds without being perfect for either.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you have one in the first digit of your pinky finger, yes?
Yeah, I have on the outside between the first and second knuckle. So it's midway on the outside of my pinky finger. And that works great for presenting to vertical readers.
Yes. But probably not great for your phone.
No, and for my phone, it's almost impossible for me to get my hand to that position and still be able to see the screen. But for vertically and even horizontally, if they were laying on a table or something, the side of the pinky finger is ideal, really.
Yeah. And that brings up kind of another point of where other people were installing their Vivo keys is in the forearm on the inside, or the ulnar side, which is super duper easy to scan with a phone. But if you try and put that on a credit card reader or like a door panel, forget it. You're going to need to break your arm off.
Right.
So
back your hand, again, it might be a little uncomfortable. That's pretty ideal.
Yep.
Well, I still have one pinky finger left. So maybe, now that gets to the point where you might have to have it implanted with a scalpel, because you can't tip the skin on the side of your finger. It's just too tight. You can't do it.
Well, if it's a flex, that's going to require a scalpel, period.
Well, I'm talking about for the spark, actually.
Right.
Put the spark in the outside of my other pinky finger. Because that you can still use the spark with not NFC readers, though, right? Can you use the
NFC?
Spark is NFC. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, when you scan your spark for the first time, it gives you a link of where you can go get all the goodies for it. It's like vivokey.com or something. Okay. And I can actually do that for our watching audience. I'm trying to scan it with a phone case, and that's always a bad choice. Well, anyway. We're just going to cut this out.
It works. We'll just say that if you were to scan that, it would direct you to a website that gives you all the information.
Also, I feel it's responsible to mention this. Right now it's only for Android. There's nothing written for iPhone, because iPhone has decided that NFC is not important to people except for payments. So that's shame on you, Apple.
No.
Maybe someday. Anyway, I own an Android phone that I've already got charged up and ready for this.
But you've already switched over to an iPhone recently, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. My primary phone is an iPhone, but I've got I have an unlocked Android phone as well. It's an older Motorola that has an FC.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited to get it. I'm thinking that the outside of the hand, you could probably fit 2, but I wouldn't go any more than that. 2 NFC type tags.
I've heard you want 6 centimeters between them.
So 2 inches, a little bit over 2 inches.
Yeah.
That's questionable. That's questionable.
Now in my hand, I've got one, like I said, between the ulnar metacarpals of the index and middle finger, and then on my other one, I have it in the webbing between the thumb and the index finger.
Okay.
So they're not that they're not that far apart, and I had no trouble deciding which one to read.
Well, I think the angle would also matter too, because and one is behind the other depending on the orientation of the hand, or behind in relative to the position of the reader. Mm-hmm. So if you're kind of bending your thumb inwards, that's almost the right angle from between the two. So there's really no conflict where they're both equidistant from the reader itself.
Yeah, unless I slap it flat on there. But yeah, I can put a lot of flesh between the reader
and the second, whichever that may be.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to give it another thought before I put mine in. The back of my hand sounds good, but I definitely want to. I don't want to have to take something out just so I can present my credit card through an implant when the time comes. I'd rather not have to uninstall something. Never done that. I have one that I totally don't use. It's just outdated. I mean, there's no way I'm ever going to use that again. It's a RFID. So
I was kind of thinking that we could go get your Vivo key installed, and I was going to get it a second RFID because not only do I use one to get into my hackerspace, but I want to clone my work badge onto a second one so that I can not leave my work badge at home, which I've done.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll have a lot of use for RFID tags and moving forward. NFC works great. And like say, well, I do have, for my day job, I do have one of those readers, one of those cards. And it'd be kind of nice to actually not have that implanted, but it's for work. But the one you're using is reprogrammable. Right?
Yes, that's all I've gotten.
Okay. So maybe I'll be into it. I don't know. I love to get implants. It's more than just functional for me. I just think all right. So I guess that covers that. What else can we talk about, Brian? Let's see. So did you have a favorite talk or presentation?
The one that I enjoyed the most was Brian Bushway. He's blind. Sorry?
Go on.
Oh, okay. So Brian Bushway has been blind since the age of 14. He has reacclimated himself to the world by teaching himself echolocation. And now everyone's probably heard of that, where somebody without sight will click their tongue and they'll be able to navigate. This guy takes a step further because he's like riding bikes. Like he's riding down the street. There's videos of him riding a mountain bike. And it's actually pretty incredible. And I was really impressed by his ability.
Video. And I didn't see him clicking when he was riding that bike. Does he always need to click, or can he echolocate just based on the ambient noise?
I assume that would be part of it too. The workshop he gave was, I think, about learning to use your own mouth for the clicking.
Okay.
And so anyway, I thought this was super cool because I realized, hey, this is something that I could learn and possibly not even that difficult. So I was really intrigued by what was possible with this because I cannot see with my ears. But the ability is there, and that to me seems just super duper cool.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just kind of untapped potential that we all have without any augmentation. Oh no, it's not technically body hacking because, in my opinion, because you're using stock human and default hardware basically.
Yes, right. It's not really hack. No.
But at the same time, it's an untapped potential that we all have, and very valuable. I mean, who wouldn't want extra information about their environment at any time? It doesn't make sense not to. So yeah, that's really interesting. Did you get a chance to talk to him at all?
No, I didn't. Okay. I mean, I suppose I had a chance, but I was busy talking to so many other people, which in a lot of ways was the best part of Body Hacking Con.
Yeah, that's any conference. That's really the best part is getting to know the people around you that share your passion and everything, or share, in case of work conferences, it's people who share, what you do. So that is important.
I'm rubbish at networking, and yet when I go to these things, I don't even think about how many business cards I hand out. I'm just like, here, contact me. You're so cool. I want to chat with you more. And, oh, tell me more about this. Or, oh, you have something that is relevant to me. I want to know more. Here, contact me. I don't even think about it. It's just like this natural thing. But yeah, when I go to a work conference, it's like, okay, I'm going to go to the required presentations. I'm going to sit still. I'll take the appropriate notes, and then I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a chore. This is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So we should take a moment. I want to thank our Patreon subscribers. It really helps us out. Patrons, they help us cover our operating expenses and do some outreach, get some advertising out there to help people find us so that we can actually share what we do. We're both very passionate about this. So if you have a moment, take a chance or take a I'm going to re-say that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can take a look at our Patreon page, sign up there. We do have some original content. There's more coming that are just for our Patreon subscribers, some outtakes, blooper reels, things like that. So really thank you very much to our patrons. And I hope that some of you who are listening now will also join.
Well, we do hope to get more. It hasn't paid for trips to Body Hacking Con yet. Hasn't paid for implants yet. Hasn't paid for business cards yet.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff we're happy to do. I'm not complaining, not in the least. It does cover things like our web hosting.
Yep.
So we're grateful.
Yep. Which actually does add up. I mean, audio files, storing as many. We're up to episode 59 now.
This is 59.
And so that it does take space, and it does take quite a bit of space for that many audio files at this length.
Mm-hmm.
So anything happen outside of the con?
Yes. I think my favorite thing of the whole con was the biohacking dinner. After the last day, the people who were familiar with each other and the people that we'd met, we all got together for a dinner at a veggie-friendly restaurant that had very good food. Like, I've been to vegetarian restaurants where like, oh, you don't believe in meat, cool, but you don't believe in salt or really seasoning and that. No, this was not that kind of place. This was delicious. And we got all these people together who were just super excited to continue talking about biohacking and body hacking and human augmentation and learning. And I spent a good deal of time just chatting with people about the music contraption I'm making, because people there were artists and musicians. And I got to sit next to Left Anonym for a while. I chatted it up and just had a great time. Like it was the perfect wind down, because it felt like an enormous family dinner.
Yeah.
Except family that everyone loves each other.
Yeah. And there's the people that do this, the people who are into this, they are always without variation, innovative and interesting people. I have never met a body hacker that isn't trying to stretch the boundaries, and that's what we're doing, and that's what makes it, I guess, interesting for me, and maybe not other people, but I kind of envy you for all of the contacts you've made for at this conference.
Well, I do recommend that you get there.
I next year, man. Next year for sure. So, what's next?
Well, Grindfest. Grindfest is next.
Where is that one?
I think that one's in California, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe somebody can correct me, but I think it's in California, and that's at the beginning of May. So that one, I've not been to that one yet. I've only talked to people who have gone, and from what I've been told is that one is like an entire weekend that is like the biohacking dinner, where it's just like family.
Just more intimate in general.
Yes. And really looking forward to that one. I am very stoked to go. Also, that's my birthday present to me, because my birthday's in May. So my birthday is going to be spent with a bunch of biohackers. Oh, yeah. Okay. I just got a notification. Grindfest is in BDYHAX. I can't pronounce that. Can you pronounce that, Tim? It's in California.
Where do you see it? Wow. No. Spell it out. It's just people should go. People who are interested. If
it is in TEHACHAPI, California. I can pronounce California.
Tehachapi, California. And
There
what are
we
the
go.
dates?
I don't know.
Well, we need to know the dates. You know, and go. Everybody should go. Maybe I'll go to this one too if I can find time. Huh. Well, Brian, we should find out when it is and put it in our podcast. I don't see dates.
Yeah, at least one of us will be there. So come, say hi. Love to meet you if we haven't already.
Need to, before we publish this, John Brian, we gotta say what dates it is. We gotta include that in our podcast, man.
I know we'll need that sound.
Please forgive us if you're watching on YouTube. We need to look this up. We can't.
It is May 3rd through the 5th.
Okay, May 3rd through the 5th. And California is Grindfest. And one or both of us are going to be there, but there's going to be a lot of really cool people there.
A lot of really cool people.
All right. So excellent. I guess that's it. We should wrap it up, right, Brian?
We should wrap it up.
Okay, we have a post. We want to talk about Blockpool, and that's buy Blockpool. If you're into cryptocurrency, go get Blockpool. It's just an insider tip. There's stuff happening, man. Stuff happening for sure. Anyway, so let's
talk about that. I'll be right back.
I can't talk too much about it. It's secret, confidential company information, but I can say if you're into cryptocurrency, Blockpool's a good buy. So Blockpool. It's weird doing this without Brian on, but okay. So this episode has also been brought to you by Blockpool, real world blockchain solutions for business, using Bit and platform as a service. It's custom APIs to interact with legacy applications and databases. Blockpool enables a level of integration that was previously impossible. Now you can check out blockpool.io for more information. The site's being redone by me, actually, currently. And you'll find out lots of information.
Okay, so here's a visual pun.
Oh, visual
pun of Cooper. These were given away with the Vivo Key Sparks at Body Hacking Con. It is a blockchain.
I love that. I got one for you. Oh, I think that's awesome, man. I could use that right now for graphics that I need. That's that's excellent.
You want me to swing by and drop it off with your Vivo Key Spark?
Man, I might be going into my day job on Wednesday, but yeah, let's work that out. If you're in the neighborhood,
yeah,
for sure, man. I like that. I'm gonna start wearing that.
Heck yeah!
People could ask about it, and then I can talk about what I do. That's awesome. I like that. Good.
I'm glad you like it. I enjoyed it. Some people were ripping on it, like, "Oh, that's a dumb pun." I'm like, "That's a great pun."
Well, you have to be a certain type of person to appreciate puns and one-liners. They're not for everybody. If you have a complex, seasoned sense of humor, puns are just not for you. But if you have a really immature sense of humor, like me, I love puns and one-liners. That's the only thing I really like as far as that.
I would argue that they exercise a part of your brain.
Yeah, they probably do. I don't know. Maybe I'm just self-depreciating in that because I do love puns. I mean, I love puns and one-liners, simple stuff like that. So, all right. So we should go out.
Yes, thank you for listening. We'd like to invite all of our listeners to email us at cyborgs@2cyborgs.com. You can also shoot either of us an email at tim@2cyborgs.com or brian@2cyborgs.com for me.
Oh, okay. So I already did talk about Blockpool, so you have to make a choice on which one to use here. I think we'll use this one. So 2cyborgs is also sponsored by Blockpool, real world blockchain solutions for business, using Bit, a custom API interface to interact with legacy applications and databases. Blockpool enables a level of integration that was previously impossible. Check it out at blockpool.io. You'll find links to all of our sponsors on our website, 2cyborgs.com. While you're there, make sure to visit our store, our Patreon. While you're there, make sure to visit our Cafe Press store to get some really awesome 2Cyborgs branded items, including hooded sweatshirts, these awesome coffee cups that you see us on YouTube with, and more. This is Tim Shank, and I'm drinking from one of our stylish branded coffee cups right now.
And this is Brian McAvoy. You've been listening to 2Cyborgs and a Microphone, brought to you by 2Cyborgs who have sexy mugs.
Like, follow, share, and don't forget to subscribe to any of the popular podcast services, including Google Play Music, iTunes, and Stitcher. Help us move up the podcast ladder by subscribing and commenting, which is very important on iTunes.
We're also on Twitter at 2Cyborgs.
Excellent. All right, so stop the recording now.
Oh, no, keep recording.
Recording?
But stop.
Okay. So do we have any questions? I know there's a couple people watching on YouTube. Anything you guys want to talk about?
Well,
biohacking. Oh, sorry. Go on, Brian.
I was saying that Cyberlass was arguing that the echolocation was, in fact, biohacking.
So, and I was thinking about that after she said it, because hacking, the definition that I have is you are bending the rules of a system to do something it's not meant to do, which kind of is this in a way, because hearing is also meant to give you spatial orientation. So I still don't consider it hacking entirely, because you're doing something that you're meant to do. You're using the hardware you have to do what it's meant to do. Now you're doing it at a deeper level when you're doing the echolocation.
Yes, your eyes are your primary navigation source, whereas if you're using your ears as your primary, then does it become a hack?
It's gray. It's in a gray area, if you ask me. And so I could go either way, you know. But see, you and I talked about this earlier. 20 years ago, a long time ago, I saw a musician. This was before I was ever into biohacking or human augmentation. There was a musician. It was some kind of jazz, some kind of jazz band, I think. I don't know, jazz or blues. And one of the musicians, he was the piano player, I believe. When he got off stage, he walked around snapping his fingers. And I just thought at the time, I thought, oh, he's just in a groove, he's just jamming, he's a cool cat. After a little while, after watching him walk around, I realized he was blind. Now, at the time, I didn't think, oh, he's augmented himself. It wasn't a hack in my mind at that time. So I kind of come back to that being not evidence, that kind of lending itself to being not a hack, because I guess it's, like I say, it's great.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that was mentioned in Brian Bushway's speech was that there have been devices that will make these sonar pings, but they don't work any better than him using his own voice. And I thought that was interesting, because before he said that, I immediately had the idea, and I was sitting next to Amanda, who had the same idea of, well, what if we made a tone generator or a clicking device, kind of like a pet clicker, but automated, or, all these like mechanical things, before he said, yeah, the mechanics don't really add anything. If anything, they're just easy to forget. And then, oh my gosh, now I don't have my necessary thing. Whereas if it's vocal, you're set. Now, I would think that learning the click is part of the skill. And he said that as well. If it's kind of a soft, mushy, like, that doesn't do any good as a sonar click. But if you have a nice sharp click, like the finger snap, like you said, it's a real quick sound. It bounces back and you get that spatial awareness from it. But what if you had a device that you learned with, kind of like having a tutorial or an easy mode, where you kind of get the hang of receiving before you master the sending?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I thought about, and I went to the same, my mind went to the same thing as you and Amanda's. I thought, what if you could wear something like dead center on your chest that emitted just a very sharp tick, or the right sonar ping, for learning, so that you get accustomed, you start building those neural pathways that enable this, because that's how all learning works. You build neural pathways, and then you reinforce them, and through consistent use. So one of the things that I thought, and it may be just a matter of perspective, because this is what enabled him to regain some experience and control of his own world. But at the same time, I kind of look at, I mean, if a person is snapping with their fingers or making a tick with their mouth, that is going to be distracting to the people around them, and they're going to change the way they look at that person, because they're doing something different. If somebody does something with their hands in sight, your eyes automatically, and this is a biological human nature type imperative, if you put your hands together in front of somebody, nobody cannot look at that. You have to look at that, because it's a potential for danger in our simian past. Your hands moving together to do something, it immediately draws the eyes. Your hand snapping would also do that to a lesser degree. So you're kind of separating yourself out by making that something that you do consistently that nobody else does.
Mm-hmm.
A device may still do that to some degree, but a lesser degree, because you're not actually using your hands. It's something that's I guess it's not as direct,
Right.
So you're not, it's not a motion that you're doing, because that draws people's attention and separates what you're doing from what you're trying to say or who you are. So I don't know. It maybe is a perspective thing.
Okay, so this is kind of related to that. Rich Lee and I was overhearing Rich Lee talk about this, and he had gotten these headphones that were meant for the shooting range, because they will have an amplifier built into them that will automatically turn itself off when there's a loud sound.
I have some of those.
Okay. Then please try this next experiment. He said he was clapping in his kitchen, and the brain, this is the other part of why this is important, the brain will automatically silence the echo. So if you're in your kitchen and you clap, you don't hear the echo, because your brain wants to ignore that, because your hunter brain says that sound that bounces back at you is not important, because I know it was the clap and I know there's stuff around me. I want to only notice if there's prey in that bush over there. So I'm going to automatically silence that clap echo for you. But it's there, but your brain chooses to ignore it. So he said he was standing in his kitchen, clapping his hands and listening for the echo to try and gain that spatial awareness. And I'm curious if you can replicate that.
Okay, so he had the headphones on, so it immediately electronically deafened the actual clap,
Right.
but he could hear the echo back from it.
Precisely.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to dig those out. I haven't been to the range for a long time. They're playing new batteries and stuff like that. But yeah, I can check that out. Interesting.
Yeah. Toss them on, see what happens.
So
probably take more time to find it than to perform the experiment.
Okay, so we do have another question about our opinion, or how do we think biohackers should be building community locally, have more of the family feeling locally and more often?
It's a good question.
It is a good question. And
we used to do that with Twin Cities Plus. I should say you started that with Twin Cities Plus. And we had the Happy Hour Plus, because you've got the H Plus, Humanity Plus, and you did HH Plus, Happy Hour Plus, which pretty clever.
Yeah, and when I was doing it here, and actually it did community, you and I both still talk to the people we knew, and that's been 3 or 4, and that's been a number of years ago.
Yeah.
So we did build community. Now we don't get together very often, and one thing that I feel is made Twin Cities Plus a real challenge to keep together is biohackers are very independent people, and they don't really rely on what other people are doing to decide on what they're going to do. So
that's why we don't do interviews.
right. It's not like something that we can all share and we can share pieces of it with each other, that with other biohackers, but they have their projects, they have their initiatives that they're doing. They might somehow relate to mine, but really it's not a real cooperative experience. It's very individual and very personal. So I thought that was a challenge for Twin Cities Plus, is keeping people working together on one project, because everybody had their own things that they were doing, and nobody, people were interested. If they were there when you were working on it, they'd be happy to help. But as far as bringing people together to work out a certain problem, they had their own problems that they're already working on, and it was in some ways a distraction from what they wanted to do, even though it was kind of in the same vein.
Mm-hmm.
But that was with Twin Cities Plus, and that was a little bit bigger in scope. I think that another problem was that I was trying to scope that way too big. I was trying to bring a lot of people together, and there's just not a lot of people doing this. So, yeah, it's a little hard. I guess we go back to meetups and get people together. The grind spaces are definitely where that happens, because then you have people, even if they're working on their own individual projects, they are together doing it, where you can collaborate and bring people together without detracting so much from the individual projects that people are trying to do. So I think grind spaces are probably the best option for building community. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, the independence that we all have does make it hard to put a bunch of them in a room and expect collaboration. I think Cyberlast can probably attest to that. But yes, organizing meetups, if possible and doable, it can really bring people together, and it can do a great job of it. But it takes dedication on the parts of the organizers, and it depends who's in charge, and it depends who's willing to take that step.
Yeah, and I can say with a lot of experience backing this up, it is a lot of work to keep people together that are also individually focused, working on their own things.
Yeah, when I first started showing up to the Twin Cities Plus Happy Hour Plus, I was like, oh yeah, this is just a matter of paying for. No, I didn't even think of that. I thought it was, oh, okay, this is just a meetup thing. People show up, and it takes an hour out of the week, and that's it. That's all it is. And then I started to realize, oh, okay, Meetup requires a yearly fee. Well, that's annoying. Well, then you have to make sure somebody can be there at each time. So if one of the organizers can't make it, or if none of the organizers can make it, do you cancel? Do you just let people show up? What about somebody who's never been there before and they expect to go see a sign because they don't recognize anyone? Now it's a lot more complicated. So yeah. It takes a lot of work.
But
so, aware of that. If you're good at organizing things,
let's you and I start a grind. Well, I don't have time right now. Soon, so I will. So,
what would a grind space look like to you?
No, a place with a lot of first aid kits, a lot of first aid supplies, a clean, sterile, a way to keep an environment that's able to be kept clean and sterile, and electronic supplies.
Sounds like my office, except for the sterile area.
Right. So that's, I think, you really just want to give people a place that they can be safe hacking themselves. And it's much easier to do in a dedicated space than it is to do in your own home or something like that, in your garage that's used for other things. It's much, much easier to keep that sort of environment safe for things like cutting into your flesh if you have a dedicated space.
Yeah. Not even to touch on the legalities of that.
Well, as long as it's a social club with certain facilities available, if people want to use it, I think you can get by with it. As long as it's not.
Don't quote us on that.
I'm just
not quote us on that at all.
You should verify that.
Oh, dear.
So we have a comment on that one. So Cyberlass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too late. Okay, I won't even bring it up. Anyway, if you're on the YouTube channel, you can read the chats. It's funny stuff. She's funny. Anyway, are we through here then, Brian?
We're through here, Tim.
You want to talk about?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, then I'm going to stop my recording now. I've ended my recording. Thank you guys, whoever's online.
Thank you.
And you're awesome. Thank you. And have a great day. Brian, I'm going to stop the broadcast.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.